Hi, I'm Seminary. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some clues on how to write a well-addressed letter of application for seminary admission. Over time, many people, a lot of young men, have been to my inbox asking me for the various things one is supposed to write in an application letter for seminary admission and the various things one is not supposed to write in such an application letter. So today I'm going to be discussing with you some of the various things you're supposed to include in your application letter and some of the things you're not supposed to include in your application letter. Like you may know, an application letter for seminary admission is an official or a formal letter, which means it has two addresses and you're going to be using formal language in conveying your request. In your secondary school, you were taught to write an application letter, but it was for secular jobs, not for seminary admission. And then the content of a seminary application letter is different from that of an application letter for secular jobs. For example, if you want to write an application letter for the post of a secretary in a particular company or firm, the title of the letter is going to be a letter of application for the post of a secretary. But when you want to write an application letter for the seminary, you cannot write the title as application for the post of a seminarian. It won't make any sense. So there are various things that you're supposed to write in an application letter for you to be considered worthy for invitation to an entrance examination to any seminary or any congregation, and there are various things you're supposed not to include in the application letter. I have with me two samples of application letters written by various applicants who wish to gain admission to a seminary here. One of them has what I can recommend, but one of them here has what I don't actually recommend. So I will be reading through the two application letters and then making the various criticisms where necessary. So the first guy here wrote the address, that is his address, the address of his parish. You can write the address of your parish because when the congregation wish to reply back to you, they are going to write through the priest in charge of your parish. So I recommend you use your parish or your church address, don't use your home address. After your address, you have the address of the congregation you are writing to. So after the two addresses, what follows is the salutation. This is where the whole problem starts. Some people do write Dear Father, some people do write Dear Vocations Director, some people do write Dear Reverend Father, some people do write whatever. So what do you actually think should be there? The correct salutation for a priest is Dear Father. So the salutation of your application letter should be Dear Father and not Dear Vocations Director. You can write Dear Father and then you can put a comma and continue with your application letter. So after the salutation, what follows is the title of the letter. This is another big problem for a lot of people who have challenges writing application letter. The title for an application letter I can recommend for the seminary is a letter of application for admission or application for admission into your congregation, whatever the case may be, either diocese or congregation. Some people do write application to become a priest. Some people do write application for the priesthood. Some people do write application to become a devoted priest. I've seen a lot of application letters like that. I even have some of them in my inbox right now. So the major aim of going to the seminary is to discern if God may be calling you to become a priest or not. That is to figure out if God may be actually calling you to become his priest or not. Because you cannot be certain God may be calling you to become a priest until you are ordained a priest. So if you are writing the title of the letter in such a way that it seems you are going to be admitted and then become a priest instantly, I think that's wrong. You are not going there to become a priest, but you are going there to study, to undergo formation. That is, in the process you are going to be discerning. You're going to be figuring out if God may be calling you to become a priest or not. So writing the title application to become a priest is wrong. The title should be a letter of application for admission. That's okay. You don't have to include what might rather incriminate you in your application letter. So after the title of the letter, you have to go straight into the point. Straight into the point. Like you were taught in your secondary school, you're not supposed to greet in the application letter. You're not supposed to greet at all. Some people do begin the application letter with greetings in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, Calvary greetings and blessings from the Most High God, and stuff like that. No, these are all greetings and they are not necessary in this regards. Even if you are greeting the vocational director in the name of the Pope, just leave it aside. Go ahead and then tell the vocational director the reason why you are writing to him. Then what is the reason why you are writing? You are writing to apply. So you have to begin your application letter with, I write to apply for admission into your congregation. Don't go ahead, don't go and quote the Bible saying, with reference to the book of Matthew chapter this verse this, which says, go and preach the gospel to all living creatures. I write to apply so that I can become a devoted. No, this is not necessary. If you eventually make it to a nation after admission, you are supposed to preach the gospel. That is what a preacher is supposed to do. You're not supposed to make promises in your application letter. Now, take a look at this. This guy wrote, with reference to the biblical injunction of go and preach the gospel to all living creatures, I hereby write to apply for admission to become a priest in your congregation. Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't. It doesn't. So now this guy is writing for admission basically because of this biblical injunction, right? To go and preach the gospel to all living creatures. This is not necessary in your application letter. Go ahead and tell the vocational director the reason why you're writing to him. Definitely the person is going to have a lot of letters to attend to. So he's not going to waste much time in reading a single application letter. You may be wasting his time. Just go ahead and then tell him the reason why you are writing your application letter. So you begin with, I write to apply for admission into your congregation. That's how to begin application letter for seminary admission. After that, you go ahead and then tell him a little bit about your academic qualifications. Tell him your age. I am 18 years old and I possess the West African Senior School Certificate examinations, which I obtained from Divine Mercy Minor Seminary Makadi. You tell him things like that. After that, you go ahead and tell him about your church involvement. I am a confirmed and practicing Catholic currently. I am a coordinator of Water Service at St. Joseph Parish. You tell him a little bit about that, and then you thank him and then conclude your letter. So you conclude your letter and then you write the complimentary close. Yours faithfully. You sign your signature, you write your name. Don't forget to write your phone number and your email address, because if they are going to reply you, they are going to use your phone number and your email address. So don't forget to include your email and your phone numbers. Now, there are certain things you are not supposed to include in your application letter. Some of these things include the following. At the end of your letter, you are not supposed to ask the vocational director to write back to you or to treat your application letter with favor, because you know very well that your application letter is supposed to be treated very well. That's why you are writing. You are writing with good faith that you will be considered for seminary entrance examination. So you're not supposed to conclude your letter by saying, I will be glad if my application letter is treated with utmost favor. All these things are wrong. And then you're not supposed to portray yourself as an inferior being by saying, I humbly and respectfully wish to write and apply for admission. No, these grammars are not relevant in this regard. Just keep them aside and then go ahead and then write your application letter. So I will just read through this application letter and then you will know what this guy actually wrote in his application letter. His salutation here is, Dear Father. His title here is Application for Admission into Your Congregation. That's nice. And then he began by saying, I write to apply for admission into the Congregation of Holy Ghost Fathers and Brothers. I am 18 years old and I possess certificates in West African Senior School Certificate Examination and National Examination Council, which I obtained from Divine Mercy Seminary, Makedi. I am a confirmed and practicing Catholic. Currently, I am a coordinator of altar service at St. Francis of Assisi Parish, Aba. Thanks for your time and cooperation. Yours faithfully, Raymond Chukwuebuka. After that, he wrote his phone number and his email address. Simple. You're not supposed to go there telling him you have a call to preach the gospel right from childhood and your mind has been telling you always to descend and preach. No, this is not relevant in your application letter. You just have to express your request of being admitted to the seminary. That's all. Right, so now let me read through this application letter this other guy wrote, which I don't actually recommend for anyone. He began by writing his address, the address of the congregation he's writing to, and then the salutation. So in the salutation he wrote, Dear Father, that's correct. And then the title of the letter he wrote, Application for the Priesthood. You're not applying for priesthood, you're applying for admission. So the title should be Application for Admission into your congregation, or a letter of application for admission. He went ahead and said, with reference to the biblical injunction of go out and preach the gospel to all living creatures, I hereby write to apply for admission to become a priest in your congregation. I received the sacraments of baptism and confirmation in the Catholic Church. I graduated from secondary school with good grades in mathematics, English studies, and CRS. I promise to be a good and hard-working priest if I am admitted. I will be exceedingly glad if my application is given a favorable consideration. Now, this application letter is not okay. You're not supposed to make promises that you will be hard-working and then obedient to your formators. You don't do that, because it is assumed that you are supposed to do that in any case. So, doing this in your writing this in your application letter explicitly means you are like trying to psychologically prepare these people who are processing admission to give admission to the seminary. So you're not supposed to make promises. Just write the basic information there and then conclude your letter. There's nothing much in the application letter for seminary admission, just that the contents here differs with that of application letter for secular jobs. So concluding your letter, you can write, find attached here are copies of my credentials, whereby you can attach your WAEC, if WAEC, or NECO, and then you can attach your baptismal certificate, as your baptismal card. One thing you should not forget to do is make sure you sign your card for that particular year before you submit it to any congregation, because in your letter you said you are a confirmed and practicing Catholic. So how can you be called a practicing Catholic when your card has not been signed? That is, you are not certified your Easter duties. So make sure you sign your card in that particular year before you submit it for evaluation by the vocation director or anybody who will be in charge of the admission team in a particular congregation. Make sure you sign your card. If at all there is need for that, yes, make sure you sign it. Make sure you keep it up to date. And after that, you need to have a priest who may guide you through some of these things. You need to have a priest who may be giving you guidelines in some of these things, because it is not easy getting admission to the seminary right now in Nigeria. So write your letter this way, and God's willing, you may be called for entrance examination, because there are some congregations that invite only applicants who have written their application letters perfectly. And then if you are not invited for entrance examination by these congregations, you won't be considered for entrance examination. Only those who are invited are considered for the entrance examination. So if your application letter is not well written, you may be left out. So there's every need for you to write your application letter in such a way that anybody looking at it may be happy doing so. Don't use twisted handwriting. Use your best handwriting if I tell you are using your pen, and then do that. So I think this helps. I hope you enjoy watching this video. If you get one or two things in this video, don't forget to like and comment, and above all, make sure you share this video so that another person out there may be able to get the benefit of the video. Like and follow our page if you haven't, and invite your friends to do so. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. But if you're watching it on Facebook, don't forget to follow our page. Invite your friends to like and follow our page and share this video. Thank you so much for watching. I remain Seminary, the group admin.